in the short period of time. The Kenya shilling is the best performing currency currently in Africa, and it has appreciated almost 20%, currently trading at 129 shillings against the US dollar. As I look at the screen here, achieving the plan you've really shown us by those macroeconomic indications. On the fiscal policy economic reforms, Your Excellency, the government just recently launched the electronic government procurement system, the e-procurement, by Q1 of 2025. This digital procurement, Your Excellency, ensures businesses will be able to compete fairly for government contracts, fulfilling your pledge to eliminate insider trading and corruption, and this will enhance the access of the millions of SMEs that Kenya National Chambers of Commerce represent. On the investment climate and access to credit, we want to applaud the Hustler Fund that has been given to the SMEs, and 25% of Kenyans, so 25 million Kenyans have accessed this since November 2022. We also want to applaud, Your Excellency, the establishment of the Ministry of Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises and Cooperatives as a stand-alone ministry. Indeed, this is the home of Kenya National Chambers of Commerce and Industry. As these medium and small enterprises represent 98% of businesses, it only contributes to 40% of the GDP. So there is a problem of our structure of the economy, that the large businesses contribute 60%, and therefore in terms of growth, that is a big challenge, and this team that is here, Your Excellency, will partner your government to be able to bring more business into the big tier business. And I really want to appreciate the patron members who are here, the large banks, the large manufacturers who are here, who are supporting the SMEs across the country. In the agriculture sector, most of our members are in the export business. Your fertilizer subsidy program has stabilized the production cost, reduced the production cost, and has increased production. And this has enhanced the exports and become competitive of our Kenyan products. We want to applaud your government in the reforms in the tea sector, coffee sector, and specifically in the sugar sector, especially passing of the Sugar Act of 2024. And I do have board members from Western Kenya and Nyanza and Coast Province, which I think they are very happy about the Sugar Act of 2024. Kenya National Chambers of Commerce, Your Excellency, would really want to appreciate your support and your personal participation during the just recently concluded World Chambers Federation. We managed to bring over 65 chambers of commerce globally, over 250 international delegates, and another 250 regional delegates. Indeed, it was the first time on African soil that such a conference encompassing international chambers of commerce that is representing over 45 million companies and in 177 countries. Thank you very much for gracing that event, and it has put Kenya National Chamber in the map. As we come here today, we did a quick survey of our members across the country in the grassroots, Your Excellency. Yes, the macroeconomics are very promising. However, there are a few challenges. When we did the survey across the 47 counties, and we did get responses from 15,000 companies across the country. As far as those who run shops in Kisumu, I know Israel Agina, the chairman, is here. Workshops in Machakos, Matatus circles in Mombasa, Mohammed Jamal is here as a chairman, and the startups in Nakuru, Said Ali Mwangi, who is representing them. We got responses from all across the country. One of the big challenges, and they have told me, Your Excellency, that I should not leave here, I would want to share a few of those challenges. One is the issue of the pending bills. We have an estimated 626 billion verified pending bills, both at the county and the national government. This cash flow crunch has forced many suppliers to downsize or shut down. We have a solution, Your Excellency. We have discussed with the banks who are our corporate members, and even this week we had a meeting with IFC, and if your government can be able to take that solution, we would really appreciate, Your Excellency. The next is multiple levies and permits across the 47 counties. As we celebrate the coming of the African Free Continental Trade Area, Your Excellency, my members here cannot trade across the 47 counties easily without paying multiple permits. As a country and as a champion of open borders, and I know, Your Excellency, you've even said that Kenya is a visa-free country for tourists to come. We want a visa-free movement of our goods across the 47 counties. With the Council of Governors, we have had almost 1 year public participation to come up with a single payment permit across the 47 counties. However, it has taken quite a long time, and we would like, Your Excellency, to be able to fast-track the single business permit across the 47 counties, so that as we trade within Kenya, we can trade across the 47 countries, the 54 countries in Africa. We usually carry out business barometer for Kenya National Chambers of Commerce to be able to know the economic situation in the country. Top on the list in terms of challenges to the micro, small and medium enterprises is access to credit. We have a number of infrastructure gaps, especially in cost of energy, roads, water, especially in the counties, market access and value addition. As we collect a lot of market intelligence, there are quite a number of issues that we will be able to demonstrate to you in terms of how Kenya National Chambers of Commerce and the private sector can solve for you, Your Excellency. In terms of this mismatch of skills and the technical vocational training, Your Excellency, is that for Kenya to achieve dual training, we have to move away from voluntary private sector attachment of students. The model that we have currently, Your Excellency, is that the students will learn, they will come to our businesses and our factories for a 3-month attachment. From moving around the world, we have seen, and I think we are suggesting a phased kind of approach of incentives. I know your government is currently running an internship program and also is paying school fees for technical and vocational institutions. What we are proposing is tax benefits for businesses and industries that are attaching students not only when they finish their year of study, but part of that allocation you allocate to TVET, Your Excellency, is that you can allocate it in terms of tax benefit for the businesses and factories that attach students from year 1 to year 3 or until they finish their degree, Your Excellency. And that one will move away from voluntary dual training to incentive-based. And finally, when we learn from our German chambers of commerce, it is mandatory for businesses to be able to attach students for them to get their annual licenses. Our proposal to those challenges, Your Excellency, as I come to conclude, is that to fast-track the clearance of the pending bills of 626 billion, we know you floated an infrastructure bond of around 400 million USD. We are proposing that Kenya government can float a special corporate bond or even a pending bill bond. What will happen, Your Excellency? Immediately, you will get back 20% in terms of taxes. Secondly, the banks who are patron members who are here, the non-performing loans will go down. There is going to be a stimulus economy in the environment, and therefore will move away from the reduced liquidity that we have in Kenya right now. On tax regime review, I know currently there is a finance bill that has been approved by Cabinet that you chair. We propose for SMEs a tax regime review to cap the turnover tax at a maximum of 0.5% with no additional VAT or corporate tax for the small and medium enterprises. You'll definitely see them paying more. We are also proposing a tax holiday of 2 years for startups. This, we have studied the Indian economy for startups, and we want fast tracking of the startup bill. And currently, India is the #1 country that churns out the highest number of unicorns or companies that have turnover of over $1 billion at currently around 130 billion. And I think we can count a dozen of that for Kenya. So if you give us those tax holidays, 2 things will happen. 1, growth. Secondly, you'll formalize the SMEs. On access to government procurement, and this our members have really stated, Your Excellency, that we want your government to be able to reserve contracts of over 5 billion Kenya shillings to Kenyan-owned companies. And I want to insist, Your Excellency, Kenyan-owned, not Kenyan-registered companies. And I know the challenges that usually comes with that. That currently, there are very few companies in Kenya that can be able to undertake such kind of volume of government contracts. And this, from our study, is that for the last 22 years, the access of Kenyan companies, especially in terms of contractors and suppliers of goods, has not been fair. And even currently we are seeing as low as even 500 million being accessed by locally registered but internationally owned companies, Your Excellency. And for these companies to be capacitated, Your Excellency, we are proposing the establishment of a construction guarantee that will go into a construction bank, so that the main challenge that we have engineers, consultants who are highly trained, who are working for these international companies. We propose that we have a construction guarantee and a construction bank letter, so that these companies can be able to access and they can be able to complete the projects that you give them up to 5 billion, Your Excellency. Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary and the Prime Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Mudavadi, we signed an MOU with Burundi Chamber. The President of Burundi Chamber told me that Burundi now is undergoing reconstruction. When they finish elections next month, they are going to reconstruct their parliament. They are going to reconstruct their palace. I can see it's going on here. And he told me he wants me to get Kenyan companies with capacity to be able to undertake those projects in Burundi that is being supported by IMF, World Bank, and other multilateral loans. It will be a very big challenge for me to get indigenous companies. Your Excellency, we have to build our Kenyan companies because Africa is looking at us. And actually, the Chamber President of Burundi told me, in terms of significance, he is number 3 in the country. And you can guess who is number 1 and number 2. And for us also to build the industries, because we have analyzed the environment, only 15% of the turnover of the manufacturing sector is owned by small and medium enterprises. 85% is owned by the large companies and majorly multinational companies. And this is for the last 60 years. We are proposing, Your Excellency, that as you proceed to develop infrastructure, the roads, water, kindly capitalize Kenya Industrial Estates, Kenya Development Industrial Corporation, Agricultural Finance Corporation. And I would want to invite you to a study that we've done in the world leading powerhouse in manufacturing. In 1989, there was a similar incident in China called Tiananmen Square, and we had it last year. When the population was told, and the private sector, we want you to develop the country, they didn't have capital. They started Agricultural Bank, they started Construction and Industrial Bank, they started development banks to give credit to the private sector in that country. And when we study, majority of the companies that come from that country, Your Excellency, were formed between 1990 and 1991. And currently, they're global companies. We would want to invite you, as Kenya National Chambers of Commerce, to modernize these institutions so that we can be able to grow Kenyan companies that can be able to compete globally in terms of access to credit. And we have done, we shall be demonstrating shortly as Kenya National Chambers of Commerce. We are currently issuing collateral-free, low-interest single-digit loan with support from MasterCard. We call it Jinwe program. And I'd like to appreciate my predecessor, Richard Ngatia. Thank you very much. It started during COVID time. He's mentored me. Recently, we have trained over 31,000 micro businesses. We have issued 26,000 with loans across the country of 400 million. I would like to give you two examples, Your Excellency. In Samburu, there's a lady called Doreen. She owns a company called Genco. She exports beef from goats. We gave her 14 million. She was able to redistribute the 14 million to 300 women to buy goats, fatten them for between 1 month to 3 months, Your Excellency. And over 1 year, she has managed to increase her turnover to 6 tons weekly, and in terms of money, 63%. I want you to think in terms of your agenda of increasing exports. The challenge was getting quality goat meat. She didn't have money to give to the women who are her suppliers. Her suppliers were given money in advance for 3 months to fatten the goats. She has increased her turnover by 63%. Currently, we are exporting 1 trillion. If we have a credit system to the exporters, we can be able to increase our 1 trillion exports to maybe 1.6 trillion and reduce the trade imbalance in terms of traders and goods. In manufacturing, we got a young lady from my city, and thank you for coronating Eldoret City as a city. She was working in one of the industries that closed. They manufacture plastics. She was trading in groundnuts. We gave her 7,000. 1 year, 3 months ago, she started making groundnut butter in our 1-bedroom house. She started selling. She came for another 20,000. She grew her capital. She bought a baking equipment still in her house and hired another extra room. I know KEBS will not approve, but she's currently baking bread made of peanut butter and wheat flour. And she has employed 2 other people. With this success, Your Excellency, we would like for you, Your Excellency, to allow KNCCI. We have formed a circle coming from that success. National Chambers of Commerce and Industry SACCO as an entity to access Hustler Fund and other funds, Your Excellency, of around 2 billion for onward lending to an organized group that you see here today, composed of over 60,000 companies and another 2 million as associated members through other business membership organizations in the grassroots. In terms of supporting exports, Your Excellency, we have established 2 international offices. One in China, which you witnessed the MOU that you signed. We signed ourselves in the month of November 2023. Since we opened that office, we have exported Kenyan goods worth 650 million Kenya shillings, composed of a young lady who would have never dreamt of accessing international market. She is currently exporting leather products, belts, and wallets. Who would think that a young lady of 34 years would be able to access international market? They can only access it through an organized business membership organization like Kenya National Chambers of Commerce and Industry. In terms of agriculture, we are going to demonstrate our solution by our ICT committee of the chamber. They've been able to streamline the dairy sector. We want you to support that and run it as a government program. In the mining sector, Your Excellency, they have told me we need reforms of the mining, establishment of a mining regulatory authority to be able to be issuing license. In the livestock sector, we want operationalization of the National Livestock Marketing Board, Your Excellency, so that we can be able to increase exports of meat, because currently the demand for export is higher than what we can currently export or get it from the market. As Kenya National Chambers of Commerce, we thank Kenya government for giving us issuance of ordinary certificates of origin. But we would like to request government, as it is happening globally, as Chambers of Commerce, that you could give us the issuance of preferential certificate of origins, that is the ones for AGOA, East African Community, COMESA, and the ACFTA, so that we can continue doing the international trade and market in Kenya efficiently, like the demonstration that we have done across Africa, and even opening our offices in China and Dubai. So that we can be able to compare ourselves with peers, such as the American Chamber, and these are the top 5 leading economies in the world. The German Chamber, the German economy is the largest in Europe, the Turkish Chamber, and the Chinese Chambers of Commerce and Industry, is that we are proposing Kenya National Chambers of Commerce and Industry, and the whole AGM is here, and they have proposed, Your Excellency, that we want to establish a statutory body as Kenya National Chambers of Commerce, which will be able to have representation from all sizes, all sectors of the economy, so that we can build a very strong chamber. We have done benchmarking with the German Chamber, Turkish Chamber, Singapore Chamber, UAE, that we signed MOU yesterday. This is a trend, and not only that, we are going to produce policies to help governments to be able to compete internationally. So we would like you to support us when we go to Parliament, and we have discussed that with the Ministry of Investments, and thank you for giving us the CS and the PS. I've briefed them already. I've also met the Chair of Trade in Parliament, and they are waiting with bated breath, and they have promised us that they will pass it with speed. Your Excellency, finally, Kenya National Chambers of Commerce was privileged to be issued, to be given Ufanisi House next to Parliament by the first President of the Republic of Kenya, Hayati Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. Unfortunately, in 2014, because of security reasons, there was a threat to our Kenyan Parliament. The parliamentary square was cordoned, that included our Fanisi House with other buildings. We are proposing, Your Excellency, and we have discussed this with the Speaker of the National Assembly, and we propose that we sell this building to Parliament or Kenya government, and the proceeds that we get kindly allocate us land so that we can be able to build modern offices for Kenya National Chambers of Commerce and Industry and the Convention Center, so that we stop being squatters and we are the captains of the industry. Finally, Your Excellency, we would like to present a few demonstrations of what the Chambers of Commerce and the proposals from the agriculture sector, digitalization of agriculture, and reviving manufacturing sector, mining sector, and exports. As I finish, Your Excellency, I really want these teams to take 2 minutes to be able to, 2 minutes each to be able to demonstrate. And I would like our Chamber Vice President, who is a large exporter of coffee, tea, to be able to give us some insights on how we can be able to grow our exports. Allow me to donate my time to the Vice President for the Chamber, Mustafa Ramadan. Thank you.
Excellency, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya, CS Lee Kinyanjui, Chamber President, Dr. Eric Ruto, PS Investments, Abubakar, President of the East African Chamber, Mr. Richard Ngatia, and all the Chamber leadership from the 47 counties. Good morning. Your Excellency, let me start by thanking you for inviting the leadership to come and meet you today. In you, we have a strong partner, and in the Chamber of Commerce, you have a very strong partner to support you in your agenda. And I want to start by saying Kenya belongs to all of us, and as has been said before, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And that is one of the agendas that actually brings us here today. I will be very brief regarding exports. I saw a proposal recently to zero rate packaging material for tea. This will go a long way in value addition. I mean, as we all know, VAT refunds take a lot of time, so this zero rating will go a long way in supporting businesses' value add. And I want, Your Excellency, as you have given us your hand with that proposal, I want to propose, since we have all the AGM here, and I will start with myself, we will meet you halfway. I want to propose a common user facility. Okay? Because we can, if we want to support our businesses and our small scale and SMEs to grow, we have to give them the support for them to reach the next level. We can either be comfortable and say, wacha wafanye biashara vile wanafanya, to continue selling tea in sacks, or we can help and support them build with the right infrastructure to value add tea. Not a lot of businesses, especially the small ones, can afford 70 million shillings to buy an EMA tea bag machine. So, as a Chamber of Commerce, and I will be donating the first tea bag machine to that common user facility. I want us to give them support of tea liquorers to develop Kenyan tea, which is already very good, by the way, but different markets have different test requirements. We want to give them liquorers, to help them with the blending of that tea. We want to help them with packaging, be it labeling packaging, be it advise them on the latest trends in packaging. Basically hold their hand until they successfully complete their first export. In 2023, I believe, CP, we accompanied His Excellency to Congo Brazzaville with a delegation of business people, and I want to inform you, Your Excellency, that as we speak right now, several of those businesses that accompanied us have permanent business setups in Congo, Brazzaville, and Congo, Kinshasa right now. Before we went on that trip, we had negotiated preferential sea-free trades to the ports of Boma and Matadi. Before we went to Congo, Brazzaville, we already had solutions to make logistics very competitive. And I'm very happy to report that we already have exports. You know, there's a lot of conversation about intra-Africa trade. The conversation is always, oh, we're at 17%. But the conversation we need to have is how do we take it from 17% to 34%, and from 34% to 68%. One of the ways that we can do that is the collective bargaining with the shipping lines. You know, it's about competitiveness, nothing else. I recently had the honor of leading a delegation of Kenyan business people to Saudi Arabia. I believe, and in partnership with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Your Excellency, we had one of the most successful outward business delegations, because while we were still in Saudi Arabia, one or two of them flew back to Kenya for samples to go back to Saudi Arabia for testing sessions, and I'm proud and happy to say they have signed agreements to supply and roast coffee in Saudi Arabia. One of the companies has 100 branches. A significant step, not only export of raw coffee, but value-added coffee. Food security. I mean, there is no society that has prospered without sorting their food security. One of the issues that came up strongly from Saudi Arabia is they want to invest in farming in Kenya, but where does our interest lie? So we have a conversation. Some of them want 100,000 acres to do, alfalfa for animal feed. But the proposal we are giving them is this is going to be done jointly with Kenya. We will not sell them the fodder. We want them to have their animals in Kenya for the milk, for the meat, for the hides. And it is in principle, they're in agreement. Very soon, a delegation of those companies will be coming to Saudi Arabia. The first thing that they want to do, and this again is from their experience in Sudan. They invested a lot in Sudan and the war, and I told them Kenya is not Sudan. Kenya is a stable country. They are coming here with the variety of fodder that they want to grow, do model farms, and based on that, they can scale these businesses. Lastly, Your Excellency, SMEs, something that has been spoken about a lot but is yet to be fully understood. We did a mapping of 31,000 businesses, SMEs in Mombasa, to try and find out where they are, the size of the business, who owns the business, what sector they are in, what challenges they have per sector. And we came up with a report, and it was a very interesting report. Together with the government, we can formalize these businesses. We need to bring them to the formal fold. Some of them have very good ideas, very good businesses that can and should be scaled up, and we as chamber leaders, and some of them are here. Some of them not only leaders but also business people who deserve to be helped to scale up their businesses. And that is one of the mandates, and we intend to do that. We have a plan for that, to scale up and digitize these businesses. You know, one of the things that I really, really insist on is, okay, we have signed all these free trade agreements, but how do we support the small businesses? So we already have formed a committee that will be, helping these small businesses, making them aware of all the opportunities and helping them to comply with all the requirements until they are successful exporters to those markets. So again, Your Excellency, thank you very much. In you, we have a strong partner. And in the Chamber of Commerce, you have a strong partner. We are here to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. God bless you, and God bless everyone from the Chamber of Commerce. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mustafa Ramadan. Your Excellency, allow me, because I know we are pressed for time, 3 minutes each, just as a demonstration in the digital transformation in agriculture. I'd like to welcome Engineer Rama. Kindly come, 3 minutes, to do a demonstration of how we can digitize our agriculture. Secondly, the manufacturing sector. Mr. Kihia Mwangi, please be upstanding. And be followed by the mining sector reforms for youth, employment, and local prosperity. Mr. Tiampati, thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Your Excellency, my name is Rama Madiba. I chair the ICT committee at the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce. And I'm here, Your Excellency, to demonstrate what technology can do to transform agriculture. So making a presentation on the digital, building the digital economy in agriculture, a focus in the dairy sector. As we speak, Your Excellency, we have digitalized 35 cooperatives with 42,450 farmers across 7 counties, Your Excellency. And Your Excellency, there is a saying that says that technology democratizes consumption, but it consolidates production. We are using this technology, Your Excellency, to aggregate. And why the dairy sector? Dairy sector is very significant because, and I know you have the numbers, it contributes 453 billion shillings to our economy annually. And Your Excellency, in terms of employment at the farm level, dairy contributes, it employs, for every 1,000 liters of milk, it employs 23 farmers. Now, those 23 farmers go ahead to employ a further 50 employees, 3 casuals. So at the farm level, Your Excellency, we employ 77 people for every 1,000 liters. Those are just 20 of the 50-liter jerry cans that we see. Your Excellency, if we process that 1,000 liters, we create another 13 jobs. But if it's sold in the informal market, we create an additional 18 jobs. Your Excellency, what are we saying? We are saying that if we use technology and we transform the dairy sector, every 1,000 liters is going to employ as much as 95 people. And Your Excellency, and those are the numbers. Your Excellency, I would like to show you a case of one of the cooperatives that has undergone digital transformation. And that cooperative is called Tuya Cooperative in Kapseret Sub-County. Your Excellency, before the intervention of technology and digital transformation, that the cooperative used to aggregate a total of 1,700 liters daily. But 8 months later, Your Excellency, we have moved that in that cooperative to 5,000. Why? Because farmers have more trust in the cooperative, and therefore they have brought more milk. Another reason, Your Excellency, is that because of the linkages between aggregation and the feed, Your Excellency, farmers have access to feed, and therefore they produce more. Your Excellency, as you can see, when we started at the baseline, what appears as April, the cooperative used to aggregate a total of 53,000 liters, which is worth 2.6 million. Undergoing the digital transformation, Your Excellency, if you can, I can draw your attention to the month of January, where the same cooperative then aggregated a total of 150,382, which is worth 7.5 million Kenya shillings. Your Excellency, when it gets to payment time, and the chairman of that cooperative makes his payment, the economy of Tuyo feels that actually there's something that has happened, and the SMEs that are there feel it. And Your Excellency, those are the, in terms of daily production, from 1,799 to currently we are doing 4,000 because we are recovering from the dry spell. Next. Yeah, more importantly there, Your Excellency, is that when we touch feed, that is when we are really moving the needle in matters dairy production. So you see that the feed being purchased by farmers at that cooperative has grown from 141,000 a month to, in February, 505,000 in that month, meaning that this feed came in handy to mitigate the effects of the dry season. And all this is as a result of the digital transformation. You can see the numbers of the farmers, how it has grown from 385. But as trust grows and people feel that my milk is not being stolen by anyone, more farmers bring milk. And it's the aggregation, Your Excellency, that we are looking for. But, Your Excellency, once we have digitalized, the next thing is how do we aggregate services on top of the accurate and timely data? And then this is where now, Your Excellency, we became innovative and we coined a project called Maziwa ni School Fees. Your Excellency, Maziwa ni School Fees, it's actually the fruits of digital transformation. And what happens, Your Excellency, is that if the school across the road, State House Girls, if a farmer has a child, what we would do is that we would prorate the cost of school fees into a daily contribution. So that if you're supplying 10 liters to your cooperative, Your Excellency, we will take off 4 liters out of that, or 3 liters. If it's 3 liters times 50 shillings, Your Excellency, that's 150 shillings every day. 150 times 30 days, that is 4,500. Your Excellency, in 10 months, you have actually paid that school fees. And it speaks, Your Excellency, to what you keep telling Kenyans about the savings culture. Because what you produce 10, but we take 3 to save into the future of your children. Your Excellency, and this is a reality. The people you can see there, that is the chairman of that particular cooperative who is issuing checks of children to the school principals. And as you can see, the principal of CMAT High School there is receiving a check from the chairman of the cooperative. And I think he's being very smart because he would have otherwise sent the child home or wait for a promise of a lump sum payment from a farmer that might not come. Your Excellency, I don't think it can get more bottom than it already is, as you can see from the schools there. Your Excellency, what are we asking? We're asking that we know that your Department of Livestock is currently procuring 230 coolers. We would like to partner, we are requesting to partner with you, Your Excellency, in terms of taking the success story of Tuyo across to make 230 centers of excellence across the 25 counties. Your Excellency, we have proven ourselves, and we are requesting that you can partner and work closely with us because we have the right experience in deploying technology, and which is really very farmer-centric. And Your Excellency, what are the impact numbers for that? We have calculated the 230 coolers have an installed capacity of 475,000 liters. Going back to the presentation earlier, that every 1,000 liters will employ around 90 people. Your Excellency, we are going to create 42,750 jobs across 25 counties. Your Excellency, if we do this, we are going to impact. We are going to drive productivity, value addition, export growth, job creation, and inclusive growth. But as I wind up, Your Excellency, we are not just saying dairy. We are saying we want to use dairy as a pillar because there's a lot of interrelationship between dairy and other value chains. So if we work with you to do the 230, then, Your Excellency, we are able to move the needle. And together, Your Excellency, if we build synergies between the Chamber of Commerce and the colleagues here, we know that we are going to impact 2 million dairy households. We are going to impact 12 million Kenyans across the 25 dairy producing counties. Thank you. Your Excellency, as you can see up there, that is a photo of the launch of the Maziwa ni School Fees program that was done in Uasin-Gishu, and we were privileged, Your Excellency, to have your minister, Dr. Oparanya, to launch the Maziwa ni School Fees program. But one interesting thing, Your Excellency, is that when we our health. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, and God bless.
Next, Your Excellency, we'll have one more presentation on mining, and I'll request that we keep it as brief as possible. One more presentation on mining. If you can kindly approach quickly as we get ready to also now invite Waziri to come and make his remarks. Tumpigie makofi akija tafadhali. Karibu.
Samoei Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya, distinguished guests, members of the Cabinet, Chamber President, Chamber Vice President, all protocols observed. Good afternoon. Now, my name is Joshua Tiampati, and I might be the youngest person in this room, and so I stand here with confidence as the Vice Chairman of the Mining Committee at the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Your Excellency, every presidency is remembered for something, a road built, schools launched. But what if your presidency would be remembered for lighting something deeper? Something buried beneath our feet, but alive with untapped power. Today we speak of the mining industry, but not as it has been spoken about in the past. We speak about it as a national opportunity hidden in plain sight. A vehicle for youth and a legacy not built from above, but from the bottom up. So before we ask for anything, we must commend you, Your Excellency, on what your government has done. In 2023, October, your government took swift action to lift the moratorium that has suspended all mining activity across the country since 2019. This decision has opened doors and has rekindled hope. Kenya is ready for responsible mining investment. And of course, even the cadastre system that issues licensing has been a method that we have used to streamline licensing in the country. Your Excellency, we give you your flowers. Now, Your Excellency, I want you to picture this. A young man, 26 years old, in Ikolomani, wakes up at 4:30 a.m., descends into a narrow pit, only with a pickaxe, no helmet, no license, but with hope. He does this every day, trying to feed his family. He's not a criminal, he's not a rebel, he's one of the million. 1 million artisanal miners across the country, with 5 million mouths to feed. Families held together by informal and unregulated labor, and in Migori alone, we're talking about 160,000 artisanal gold miners. These are not just statistics, these are the builders of the nation. So we may ask, what exactly is this informality costing us? Well, we're bleeding value because every year Kenya is losing about 100 billion shillings lost to informal mineral flows, smuggled gold, unlicensed quarries, and untraceable gemstones. Our gold sold in international markets is discounted by up to 30 and 40% because it lacks certification. But we do not have to imagine what success looks like. We have already seen it. Take base titanium, for example. Within 17 square kilometers, was able to run an operation that contributed approximately 600 million USD to our national economy. For perspective, Your Excellency, Kenya spans 580,367 square kilometers. If you divide that by 17, you get potentially 34,133 mining operations. Now, realistically speaking, we can't mine the whole country. But if we take a fraction, assuming an eighth, and divided that, we would get about 4,266 mining operations in the country. Times that by base titanium's contribution, we're talking of 2.56 trillion USD to our national GDP. Now, we are not talking about, thank you. At that point, we cease talking about regional hegemony. At that point, we are talking as a global superpower. We talked of the chamber's strength. And this is what we can actualize in our country. So the point is simple. This isn't a dream. It is a decision. If we get this right, it doesn't just benefit miners. It benefits the whole nation. Your Excellency, youth are at the core of this move. Imagine 1.5 million youth, not unemployed, not idle, but working in geosciences, logistics, technology, and traceable trade. This fund, the Junior Mining Fund, is not merely a fund. It is a future. And Your Excellency, as the youth, we are ready, and all we need is the opening of the door. Now I cannot go, thank you. Now I cannot go without mentioning KNCCI's role and impact. As you can see, our chamber president very joyfully there pictured. The chamber has been driving visibility for this sector in all its engagements, both locally and externally. But Your Excellency, there are challenges in the regulation and the issuance of licenses. So Your Excellency, we are here to propose something. One is to fast-track the Mining Amendment Bill that establishes the Mineral Rights Regulatory Authority. God willing, next week, Your Excellency, Thursday, we will be here to sign that bill to law. I believe that is possible. Secondly, Your Excellency, to activate the artisanal mining communities across our countries, to better formalize, to champion the formalization of our ASM, to digitize the registry, and to roll out the fund. The bigger picture. Mining isn't just about the pit, Your Excellency. It feeds the roads, it feeds the homes, it feeds factories, Your Excellency, it feeds fintech, and even our drive for industrialization, it feeds it. And this is how we industrialize Kenya, by starting where the rock meets the earth. That's our way of saying where the rubber meets the road. In terms of aligning with the Vision 2030 and the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, you've placed youth, productivity, and exports at the heart of your agenda. ASM formalization is not a deviation. It is a delivery mechanism, which is envisioned within the Vision 2030 and the Beta. Our asks, Your Excellency, we are not here to complain. We are here with a plan. We're here to seek partnership, to co-develop the strategy of implementing these asks, to support the rollout of the Junior Mining Fund, and of course to endorse the Chamber's coordination of our plan for the mining sector. To close, Your Excellency, long after this hall empties and this presentation is archived, one truth will remain. There are 1 million miners still underground, 5 million lives still waiting, billions in untapped value still locked beneath our soil, and a nation still looking for its president to take action and to dig into our destiny. I am reminded of a national inflection point. The great leader of Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew, remembered as one of the most visionary leaders in the 20th century, transformed the nation of Singapore. Your Excellency, today right here is a moment of a national inflection, which I believe you can champion. So we also appreciate the Chamber and the Presidency for bringing youth to the table. We do not take it for granted. KNCCI is ready, and so is the country. God bless you, Mr. President, and God bless Kenya. Asante sana.
Thank you. Another round of applause for him. What a clarity he has given in regards to the potential that we have. Your Excellency, with your permission now, allow me to invite the Cabinet Secretary for Investment, Trade and Industry, Honorable Lee Kinyanjui, to make his remarks and in turn invite His Excellency. Why don't we put our hands together as we welcome Waziri. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya and Commander-in-Chief, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, the President of the National Chamber of Commerce, Dr. Ruto also, my peers and all invited guests, allow me to take this opportunity to thank the President for making time to hear the business people. One of the biggest challenges we have had in the past is sometimes the private sector saying that things are being done while their voice is not heard. Now you are here, your issues have been heard. Most of them we have already discussed them in our office through your chamber president, and I'm happy the President is here to work on them. But even as we say all this, Your Excellency, allow me to also acknowledge the support some of the members of the chamber have made to this country. Just 2 weeks ago, I was in Lamu. We had gone to witness the commissioning of a new textile factory that will serve over 15,000 farmers in Lamu. And I can see the director of Thika Clothing Mills. I want to say a big thank you for bringing that support to the community. The ginaries, Your Excellency, in the past were very few. The farmers from Lamu would have to bring their cotton all the way to Kitui. Now we have taken the ginary right to Lamu. And we hope through this we'll be able to feed into your textile agenda. I don't want to say much. Allow me to just tell the business people that at the time when history is made, people are not conscious of it. They become conscious of it much later. In the history of industry in Kenya, some of the things that we have talked of for the last 30, 40 years are now gaining roots. Be it in the KIPES, in the EPZs that we are making across the country, and the allocation of funds to operationalize all these, we see a huge change. And we believe that in the coming days, we'll be able to see the results that have come. We believe in partnerships, unlocking challenges, and working with all the stakeholders across the industry. Your Excellency, I don't want to go beyond there. I know you have all the answers to these issues. And with that, allow me to request all members to be upstanding as we invite the President to give his address. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Waziri. Please, let's take our seats. Asanteni sana. Chamber President and Vice President, members of our Chamber of Commerce from all the 47 countries, good afternoon. Hamjambo. First, let me take this opportunity to welcome you to this meeting. I did have a conversation with the Chamber President a few weeks ago. After we signed several agreements and had interactions in different parts of the world with different chambers of commerce, and I thought it was an opportune moment for us to have this meeting. And I remember when I called the chamber president and asked him how possible it was to have a meeting with the chamber. We had different suggestions and different configurations, whether we should make this a joint meeting between the chamber and CAPTCHA, or whether we should have a smaller meeting, or whether we should have a bigger meeting. Finally, we agreed to have this big meeting. First, so that we can align, we can align ourselves with the broader picture. And I'm very happy that the chamber has taken time to internalize, to carry out research, to gather information around where our country is. You are very much aware that because of dynamics beyond our country, the global economy is slowed down because of matters COVID, because of matters wars elsewhere in the world. And as a result, we became victims of different global dynamics. High interest rates, difficult situations on prices of commodities going up. And as a result, not just did our economy slow down, but our economy was affected in very significant ways. And when I came into office, my first assignment became to stabilize the economy. That became my first assignment. And I had to make very difficult decisions that many people were not very happy with me, but I didn't have a choice. I had to make some difficult decisions of slowing down on our borrowing, making sure that we control government expenditure. I remember the first meeting I had in that building there was how we are going to cut down the budget by 300 billion shillings. And even our development partners did not see how we are going to achieve that. But it was the decision that had to be made by somebody. And unfortunately, it happened to be me at that point. And so I had to make that decision. And so we have managed over the last 3 years to tame the effects, negative effects against our economy. And we have made some decisions. We've had to cut down on subsidies. We had UNGA subsidies, we had fuel subsidies, we had different kinds of outlay of public resources. We've had even to slow down on some of our development programs, including some of our stalled roads, just to contain our economy and to make sure that we contain inflation and we manage the negative effects on our economy. Because of the difficult decisions we've made, today we can comfortably say our economy is standing on a fairly sound footing. You have said yourselves, you've seen yourselves the statistics, you know. Our inflation has come down from 9.6% in 2022 to now an average of 3.5%. That significantly helps our macro and even the people who do business with us to understand that we can make the right choices. We have also, contained the slide on the dollar from a high of 165, 167. Now it has stabilized for the last 8 months at around between 128, 129 shillings to the dollar. We have also enhanced our foreign exchange reserves by another almost $2.4 billion. And therefore, our treasury bills have come down from 18% in 2022 to now 8%. Treasury bills. We're looking at an economy that is now beginning to look up. It is you, the people in business, who understand these numbers. The countries that did not, for example, take the kind of steps that we did ended up in a much more difficult place than we are. And in fact, some of the countries did not take the difficult decisions that we took, have had a beating on their economy. As you know, Kenya has surged forward. Our economy has grown over the last 2 years, and we've grown past Angola, we've grown past Ethiopia. We're now the 6th largest economy in our continent. The IMF just announced it 2 weeks ago. And it's largely because we made the right decisions. Our neighbors, for example, their currency was devalued by 100%. Just imagine if the Kenya shilling was devalued from 130 to 260. We wouldn't have a country, right? So it has taken some, painstaking decisions to make sure that we consolidate our economy. And it is the first assignment any responsible government must undertake. We must also, as we talk to business, as we consolidate our economy, we must also look at credit available to the private sector. Because if we crowd out the private sector by borrowing from government, it becomes very difficult for the private sector to grow. It becomes impossible for MSMEs to thrive. And therefore, among the things we must do as a country, and it is one thing that I thought I would share with you, is to grow our savings. We have to intentionally, deliberately grow our savings. Investment, I am told by economists, is a function of savings. If you haven't saved, you cannot invest. It's just as simple as that. And therefore, we must look at savings as a percentage of our GDP. And we must learn from what other countries have done. Today, savings as a percentage of GDP in Kenya is about between 10 and 12%, depending on which formula you use. If we compare ourselves to other countries, let me use, for example, China, it is 55%. Savings as a percentage of GDP in China is 55% of their GDP. It means citizens understand the importance of saving. And saving comes in different ways. Statutory savings, we have savings that come as a result of people pulling together. We have savings that come as a result of SACCOs and cooperatives and other interventions. But we must incentivize savings from a public sector perspective. The public sector must lead in shaping the savings culture of a nation. It is the reason why, for example, if you go to Uganda, they save 10%. Every person who works saves 10% of their salary. And government also contributes to the saving of, the employer, for that matter. Same thing with our brothers and sisters in Tanzania. These are two neighbors. Just to mention to you that these two countries have been doing it for the last 15, 20 years. In Kenya, we haven't quite, we've had a problem. And that is why up to 2023, the statutory savings of employed Kenyans was about 200 shillings. Not about, it was actually 200 shillings. saved at NSSF. So the employee was saving 200 and the employer was contributing 200. So I once had a conversation with Atwoli and I asked him, honestly, what kind of saving are we going to have if you save 200 shillings? No wonder Kenya is listed among, I think it's number 93 among the countries that have the highest old age poverty. After somebody works for 40 years, 50 years, their total saving is 100,000. So you give somebody 100,000 at age 60. By age 63, they are dead. Because 100,000 cannot keep anybody anywhere. That's what it is. And so we made the decision in 2014 that we are going to change our savings culture. And I remember we went to Parliament, we changed the law, but as it would be in Kenya, it was taken to court, and for 9 years, we couldn't move it. So when I came to office, my first assignment was to call the fellows who had taken us to court and to look at them in the eye and ask them, really? You want us to continue saving 200 shillings? Is that what you're saying? Luckily, we managed to settle matters. And I can proudly say we are changing the savings infrastructure of our country. Just for numbers, from independence 60 years ago up to 2023, we had saved at NSSF 320 billion shillings for 60 years. From 2023 to this year, in just 2 years, we're saving 280 billion. And that's why I said we are going to double our savings at NSSF by the end of this year. The money we saved for 60 years, we're going to double it by end of this year. And God willing, by 2027, we will have 1 trillion savings. Just tell me what's going to happen in 15 years and what's going to happen in 20 years. We're going to have a big pool of resources that can help us even enhance the credit available to the private sector. Because the problem we have in our country is that we do not have patient money that can wait for 15 years, for 20 years. And that is why all manner of borrowing is 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, and the interest rates are very steep. I want to encourage the private sector to work with us on expanding the savings infrastructure in our country. I want to ask the Chamber of Commerce to think about how do you play a role in making sure that together we facilitate savings so that we can use those savings for investment and we can begin the journey to make credit available to as many people as possible, especially the people who need it most in the micro, small, and medium enterprises. Because of what we have done, it is my expectation, and that is why I have a central bank in our midst. It is my expectation that the interest rates, the T-bill interest rates that are coming down, the interest rate regime that is, we are consolidating our place, and we are reducing on borrowing. We are looking at other ways of facilitating public investment that avoids borrowing. And I will give you examples. Today, we have contracts of close to 300 billion Kenya shillings in our housing program, in our markets, and in our hostel infrastructure. 300 billion. Not a single of those contracts is on borrowed money. There is no housing development we are doing on borrowed money. There is no market we are doing in Kenya on borrowed money. We have a different, funding mechanism. Again, we have gone to the market outside our debt book to develop instruments for developing our road infrastructure. Again, away from burdening our balance sheet with debt. We are building Talanta Hela here, one of the big stadiums, again away from debt on the balance sheet of the government of Kenya. We are building Bomas of Kenya, away from debt on the balance sheet of Kenya. We've just concluded discussions with partners to do the road from Mau Summit here from Rironi all the way to Mau Summit and eventually to Malaba. It will not be built on debt. It will be built on investment. We've agreed to extend the railway from Naivasha all the way to the border and into the rest of the East African community. Yesterday, we signed an investment instrument with UAE. They will be participating as an investment, not as a debt to the government of Kenya, to extend the railway. So, these are alternative instruments for funding public infrastructure without burdening our citizens with debt on our books. And I'm saying this so that the Chamber of Commerce, with your membership, can focus on the areas that will give us momentum to take our economy forward in an innovative, in a creative manner that looks at how do we move forward. I know there is always a temptation to say, let us look at taxes, let us look at the other. But there are instruments that go beyond tax that we can use to drive our development. I will be willing and ready with my team for us to have an engagement with the Chamber to look at alternative instruments of funding. How do we raise resources for our industrialization? How do we raise resources for our value addition interventions? How do we, work together to look at how we can drive our economies forward? Let me give you another example. We are currently working with the counties on matters to do with supply of equipment for our hospitals. In our past engagement, we bought very expensive equipment. I think we spent close to 60 billion shillings MRIs and ICU equipment and all manner of equipment. Some of them did not work, but we had already paid for them. Some of them worked sometimes, but we had already paid for them. Some of them, thankfully, 80% or thereabout worked. But this time round, we have decided to be innovative. So it's told, we sat down with the manufacturers of this equipment, and we have told them, please come and place your equipment in our hospital. We will pay as we use the equipment. For every service, you charge us, we pay you. If the equipment is down, we wait. When it is up, you charge us, we pay you. And the manufacturers have agreed. We have started the deployment of equipment in our hospitals. Again, I'm trying to push the point that there are many ways that we can creatively deliver on public service without necessarily burdening ourselves with what eventually undermines our economy. I am going to ask at some point our two friends from Central Bank to tell us what are they doing to make sure that the trend coming down of interest rates is transferred to the borrowers in MSMEs and in credit availability. Because we are not seeing banks responding as fast in making sure that we access credit. So please, two good people from Central Bank, you will talk to us in a bit. Yeah, because I'm sure these good people would want to know what is it that we are doing as government to make sure that there is affordable credit. I also want to speak to the other items that you have said. You have talked about value addition, agro-processing, productivity in our agricultural sector. Agriculture plays a very central role in our economy. And therefore, we must focus on productivity of our agricultural sector, but much more importantly also focus on value addition, processing, and also opening up of markets. As you are aware, we have different market infrastructure that have been said here by the Chamber President and all the other people who have talked. We have the ACFTA, we have the East African Community, we have COMESA, we have signed an agreement, the first ever as a country with the European Union, the Economic Partnership Agreement with the European Union. We've just concluded an agreement with UAE, the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement that now is undergoing ratification in Parliament. We have an ongoing conversation between Kenya and the United States, where we have a fairly balanced trade regime between our two countries. I've just come from China, and one of the agreements that we signed in China was an agreement on economic partnership between Kenya and China, and now we are negotiating a bilateral trade agreement. We have asked our friends from China that because we buy goods from their country of approximately 600 billion Kenya shillings, and they buy goods from Kenya of only 300 million Kenya shillings, that trade imbalance is serious. And therefore, we have negotiated with them. There will be negotiations in the next 3-4 months that will focus on us having greater access to the Chinese market for our tea, for our coffee, for our macadamia, for our avocados, for all the other products that we produce in Kenya. I expect the chamber to be part of that conversation. The discussions have begun, and the minister here was with me in China. So, Waziri, let us bring the chamber on board, because we have a big market in China. And I listened to the vice president of the chamber. We have a very big market in China for our tea, for our coffee, and many of the agricultural products that we produce. But the private sector in Kenya needs to step up. You need, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, you need to step up. I was in Fujian, and I met a very big importer of tea. And I had a conversation with him. He imports tea from Sri Lanka. He tried to import tea from Kenya, and it was impossible because our business people could not agree. They were pulling in different directions, and in between there were brokers. You know? So I have asked that major tea importer to come to Kenya next week. And I want the people in that sector to have a meeting with Waziri, because we can export as much tea as we want, especially after we negotiate for the reduction on the tariffs to China that is going on at the moment. The common user facilities that have been talked about by the Chamber Vice President are an important piece of infrastructure. But the private sector in Kenya, the business people in Kenya, you need to step up so that we can align you and the opportunities that exist with your colleagues in the other economies. We can only do so much as government, but the private sector must step up and suffer and take up the opportunities. Waziri, as soon as that group of business people come, I want the people in the tea sector to sit down, and I want a comprehensive plan on how we are going to export our tea to China. And all the other products that, we have a market of 1 billion people, surely. Even if we got 1%, 10% of that, we are good. So I wanted directly to talk to the chamber on the opportunities that exist in the export manufacturing sector. And we need men and women, business people from Kenya to, to work with their partners on the other side. You have, as we talk about that, we are pushing productivity. When we decided to stop subsidizing consumption and instead support production with the subsidized fertilizer and all the other interventions we have made, we have seen how the food security indicators have changed. We're producing more maize, we're producing more tea, we're producing more coffee, we're producing more sugarcane. I was actually very surprised with the statistics that the numbers have really grown on milk, on tea. We moved our tea earnings from 170 billion to 215 billion this year. We have also moved our prices on coffee from an average of 50, 60 shillings a kilo to now an average of 110, 140 shillings per kilo. Our sugarcane production is growing by leaps and bounds. I am actually surprised that very many regions in Western Kenya that did not grow sugarcane, all of a sudden, I see sugarcane growing everywhere, in Bungoma, in Uasin Gishu, in Nandi County, in Trans Nzoia, and in many other parts of our country. In fact, area under sugarcane has grown in the last 2 years by 200,000 acres. And cane that is being crushed has grown from 490,000 metric tons in the last 2 years to 815,000 metric tons this year. A growth of almost 70%. And the imports of sugar into Kenya have dropped by almost 60%, in fact 70%. And we have since licensed another 4 sugar factories, private sugar factories, that are now undergoing construction. I think 2 or 3 of them will be ready before the end of this year. And we have also taken our reform into that space. We are concluding by the end of this week, we are concluding the leasing of all the government-owned sugar factories so that the private sector can bring in capital, they can bring in expertise, and help us unlock the potential in that area. We paid, for example, last year, we paid 1.7 billion shillings to government-owned sugar mills to go and pay farmers, to go and pay workers. Farmers who never supplied cane to government, and workers who did not work for government, but we went to pay for them. Then I'm asking myself, what happened to the sugar that was being crushed by these mills, and what happened to these workers? Why are we paying workers that did not work for us? You know? So it's just the essence of taking the decisions that we must and get the private sector. The government has no business running sugar mills. Absolutely. We have no business running sugar mills. It is the work of private sector members of the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce should be running those sugar mills. Please, Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, go ask your members to go and run those sugar mills. My hands are already full doing other things. So, so the private sector needs to be part and parcel of what we are doing. So as we enhance productivity, members of the Chamber of Commerce must take up value addition, agro-processing, export. You know, I will support the farmers to produce. You must help us to add value and to process and to export. That is in your forte, right? So, whether it is tea, we're producing more tea, you should add more value. And as the Chamber Vice President has said, we are removing taxes on packaging material, and I want to see what that will look like. It is in the current finance bill that we are going to exit all taxes on packaging material. We want to see how you, in the private sector, can leverage on that. We are also removing taxes on even purchases of tea from one company. We were given a very complicated metrics, and we agreed with it by the sugar people. So we have endorsed what you want us to do. I'm expecting results from that sector. We have also straightened the matters at of coffee. We decided to bite the bullet again because that space had been cornered by and held hostage by a few people. We have now democratized that space. We have changed the licensing regime. We have made the Nairobi Coffee Exchange much more efficient, and we have brought on board the CMA to manage the coffee exchange. And hopefully next month I will be going to ring the first bell when the traders, when coffee sold, will be paid direct to farmers. There will be no in-betweens. But again, as we enhance our coffee production, we are looking at the private sector to provide mechanisms for value addition, for processing, for export, and all the other things that we need to do. I agree with the Chamber Vice President that we cannot continue to export our tea in sacks. It is not right. Yeah, we've done this for 60 years, and we cannot continue in that trajectory. Just figure out this. Sri Lanka produces half the tea we produce, but they make twice the money we make. That's what it is. They produce half the tea we produce, they make twice the money we make, which means they make 4 times for every kilo that we make. So the puzzle in there is for business people to figure out. And the Chamber must provide the way into the future for that. I wanted us to have this conversation so that I can share with you the opportunities that exist, that I see from a public perspective, from a public service perspective, and how you can take advantage of these opportunities. You are aware that we are rolling out market infrastructure. We are building 400 new fresh produce markets with cold rooms, storage, and other spaces. You must have seen one of the first ones that I launched in Susua. And we are building more modern markets in different major towns. This is our intervention to reduce post-harvest losses of the agricultural products that we produce. We have also 47 county aggregation and industrial parks. It is my intention, and we have already in this year's budget, I think close to 4 billion shillings to conclude or to make sure that those KIPEs are finished. I went to several of them, and they are very advanced. Those county aggregation and industrial parks are spaces for micro and small enterprises to come into that space and provide the mechanisms for processing and value addition. And again, we will be looking at a partnership between the private sector and the government on common user facilities in those county aggregation and industrial parks. I will be asking Waziri Lee to work with the private sector so that we can work together around what are the common user facilities we need in those county aggregation and industrial parks for the processing of the products in different parts of the country. We will need different kinds of facilities for processing of the items produced in those areas. You're also aware that we are constructing another 6 special economic zones. We have a big program with AfriExim to do Dongokundu and Naivasha. We have already invested close to 1 billion shillings in each of the 6 special economic zones in Sagana, in Thika, in Nakuru, in Eldoret, in Busia, and we are looking at opportunities for the private sector again, in a space where there are tax incentives and many other incentives, to see how we can promote exports of products from Kenya. Again, I am looking at the chamber to serve these opportunities, to look at these opportunities, to work with Abu Bakar here and his colleague Juma Mukwana from industry on where you can play a role in unlocking the potential in these facilities. I was at Ewasonyiro, and we have huge opportunity in leather. Ewasonyiro is a government facility, but I think a partnership with the private sector would unlock a bigger potential over Ewasonyiro. And I'm sure the ministry responsible will be looking for private sector players. We have put in place a good facility with good equipment, but the private sector would make better use of those facilities. We have the infrastructure in Kenanie, which we are in the process of concluding. And I don't know why the Chamber of Commerce has not seen the opportunity in leather. There is very big opportunity in leather, and we are prepared to work with you to unlock the potential that exists in our leather industry. We happen to have the third largest herd of livestock in Africa. It means we have the essential raw material. We have the leather, the most primary raw material you need. We have the hides, we have the skins, and therefore we have a very big competitive advantage. We should be able to unlock that opportunity. Just imagine that quite a big portion of our leather is being sold to be eaten somewhere in West Africa. And a bit of it is thrown around, Almost 50% of our leather goes to waste. And the chamber is having many sessions. I don't know what kind of conversation is going on in the chamber if you are not discussing leather. I think you should have a big conversation about leather. And I want to encourage the ministry to work with the private sector to unlock the potential that exists in our leather space. We have invested a bit in that space, and we want real business people to take up opportunity. Don't wait for too long. Don't look for excuses. Don't look for, the leather is available. We need business people to unlock the potential in that space. I am prepared to put in tax incentives to promote local production of leather products. Finally, I want to respond to some of the issues that you have raised. I have it on my paper there. Somebody can bring it to me here. Thank you, Lee. Thank you very much. On the issue of pending bills, you're right. Pending bills is crippling many businesses, especially MSMEs. We have been wrestling with this matter. We've taken it through the process. Of the 600 that was mentioned by the Chamber President, 600 billion, 230 has already been has gone through the mill and approved by the Pending Bills Committee that we set up. And in the next budget cycle, before the end of this year, we want to pay 150 billion of that money 90% to small and micro enterprises. In fact, the 90% of what we will pay will go to MSMEs. So that is my commitment to you. And because now we have decided to go the other direction, to avoid this big issue of pending bills, I did instruct that going forward, and it has begun from beginning of 1st April this year, we are moving to e-procurement to avoid all these gray areas and people, you know, procuring things that they have no money to pay for. So hopefully we can significantly reduce the challenges that come with pending bills. I am speaking about what national government owes. I know. We still need another conversation with our counties. And hopefully, under the framework that exists, I will ask the Deputy President to have a meeting with the counties under the IBEC arrangement so that the Chamber can also have a conversation with the county governments. I agree with you on access to credit. And do you wish to say something, people from Central Bank? Give them a microphone.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. My name is Dr. Susan Koech, Deputy Governor, Central Bank of Kenya. I'm here with my colleague, Gerald Nyaoma. We are representing the governor, who is currently in a meeting in Mombasa with the governors from the other East African partner states. So he sends his apologies. Your Excellency, and especially on the issues of credit, I think I should be able to just give a short background of what we've been able to do at the Central Bank of Kenya. First is from the time and through the leadership of Governor Kamau Thuke, we came into the Central Bank when we had really a lot of issues, especially on the currency. And as you are aware, our currency kept on depreciating. But one of the first things we did, and also to just make sure that we were not lacking behind, especially on the issues around where the policy rate is, was to first tighten the monetary policy, and then secondly, to make sure that we had monetary policy reforms that led us to have real efficiency, especially on the transmission of interest rate. As of today, the overnight interest rate actually tracks the policy rate, and so there is no even difference between the overnight rate and the policy rate. And that is what has actually led us to be able to then look back, and when the interest rate now started coming down in line with global policies, we then realized that as we were cutting the policy rates, because our policy rates up to August 2024 was at 13.5. But cumulatively to date, we've cut 350 basis points. So the policy rate now is at 10%. But we realized that the banks were not bringing down the rates as it is. And also, even when the Treasury bills rates were coming down, to the extent His Excellency the President has said today, it is at single-digit levels. So we then instituted target inspection. Our teams then went to the specific banks so that we can be able to understand how they are applying or implementing the risk-based lending model. And out of the target inspections, we then came to the conclusion that the risk-based lending model in its current design is not able to enable the banks to bring down the rates as they should. And also because we realized that most of the banks were applying the model in a way that then it brought in a lot of discrepancies, because the central bank was approving base lending rate for every bank differently. And we now thought through and with consultation with the KBA, we came to the conclusion that we need a common base lending rate. And I'm sure, and because we received a number of views from most of your members through our consultative paper, which we had issued and it closed last week, we wanted now the members of the public just to be able to review our consultative paper and tell us what are their views on what needs to be done, especially on, number one, the base lending rate, and then secondly, how do we make sure we have a base lending rate, and then the additional items which we describe it as K, which primarily will be, one, the cost of funds for the banks, secondly, return on shareholder value, and then thirdly, it will be on other costs like now employers or staff costs for the purpose of their staff. So we have gotten the feedback and we are working on those views that we have received, and we are going to work closely with KBA to make sure that we come up with a risk-based lending model that's going to serve Kenyans, not just now, but into the future. So we are seeing that there will be a lot of reforms around that to make sure that then we have affordable credit, and not just only affordable credit, but also available credits. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Okay. Thank you very much. Not very many people understand numbers, so I hope you understood what she said. So our expectation, Deputy Governor, sorry, our expectation from these members who represent micro, small, and medium enterprises is that we will have a regime, an interest rate regime that reflects the global and also the overall view, because many of the small and micro enterprises are treated differently by banks. A bank will give a big borrower a lower interest rate by huge margins. And there is this risk thing that keeps, quantifying it becomes very difficult. So I hope in the engagement you currently have with the private sector, we should be able to get to a place where we can have a proper answer for these good people. And you have suggested that you need regular consultative meetings with government. And I am proposing that we do this every 4 months. So at our next meeting in 4 months, hopefully you will have tidied up and we will have a proper response with numbers and figures and experience to these good people. Is that okay? Do you support that we do every 4 months? I think it's a good moment. Maybe not with the big team. I think the big team was necessary today. But I think we need a much more intense engagement with a smaller team, maybe the chamber, a representative team, so that we can do that. And the minister can engage the bigger team, and then we can consolidate a smaller team that can engage with us to see how we can do things better. Market access, I have told you what we are doing about market access. With all the infrastructure rolled out for you guys, you need to look at the opportunities that exist in COMESA, opportunities that exist in ACFTA, and the opportunities that exist in the EAC, all the other agreements that we have signed with bilateral countries. But also, I think you are also saying that there must be ring-fenced government contracts of a certain amount. I think the proposal was that you want government contracts of up to maybe 5 billion to be ring-fenced for local companies, not, and I think locally owned. They say not, not locally registered companies, local owned companies. I will ask my team at the Economic Council to work with the Minister to see whether we start with 1 billion shillings or we do 5 billion. They will work out the number. In the next 4 months, we will come and send you. So I would propose we start with 1 billion shillings. Let me give you some good news, though. Of the 300 billion contracts we have signed for affordable housing, for markets, and for hostels, all the companies are locally owned companies, all of them. We don't have a single Chinese company building our affordable housing. We don't have a single foreign company from anywhere. I am actually amazed at what Kenyan companies can do. You know, the fact that Kenyan companies have actually undertaken the affordable housing program in totality, Kenyan-owned companies, you know, and they are building all our markets and they are building all our hostels. I am very impressed that Kenyan companies have that capacity. And as I have told you, we have signed contracts of close to 300 and a bit billion Kenya shillings in that framework. So when you say locally owned companies, I can confirm that they exist and they can do that business. I am not sure about 5 billion. That's what I'm not sure about. Maybe we can start with 1 billion shillings, then we can grow as we do that. You have said something about internship and how you think we can promote internship using incentives for companies. I agree with you 100%. 100%. So there is already a policy that we passed as cabinet on matters internship, and therefore it is going to go to Parliament, and then subsequently we will have an internship law. I want to encourage the Chamber to interact with the internship policy that is already before the House, and to work with us as we develop the internship law so that we can capture all the incentives that you need to carry interns in your businesses. I think having interns in your businesses is good for everybody. It's good for your business. It's also good for the graduates. It gives them experience, and we can share in the burden of the internship. You know, we can net off if you have interns and you pay them so much money to work for you as interns. We can allow you to deduct all that from your taxes, and I think that is something we can work out. So my encouragement is that the Chamber should take up a serious place in the consultations that are going on now with Parliament, so that we can develop an internship program that carries on board the ideas and the suggestions you have made. But you've made the right decision. I think we should support companies and factories and manufacturers who recruit interns, and we should have some tax incentives for them. You have said that you need maybe we should discuss a 2-year tax holiday for startups. I think it's a fair suggestion. It is a fair suggestion. So, Waziri, as we work on the startup bill, you know it is somewhere in the works, please let us capture that particular item. You have also asked me to look at how we can modernize, I think those are your words, modernize Agricultural Finance Corporation, the Kenya Industrial Estates, and KIDC. I agree. And we have a program. And we have consolidated some of those into the Kenya Development Corporation, KDC. So we are looking at how that can be a catalyst for investments in manufacturing, in value addition, in processing. So again, Waziri, I think the Chamber have good ideas. Let us pick up from them and let us make it a subject of conversation in our next meeting. Okay? By next meeting, we should have agreed on something. You told me that the Ufanisi house, which is your building, you cannot access the building, that there is too much security around it, and that the building is empty. How sad, you know? I thought security was good. I didn't know that security can be an impediment to. So I will ask Parliament to have a conversation. I think, Waziri, can you help them? You know, convene a meeting between them and Parliament, and let us see whether we can persuade Parliament to buy the building, and then we can give you some land somewhere else, and you can go and build the Chamber of Commerce there. You have also asked us to provide a legal framework for the Chamber of Commerce. I have absolutely no problem with a legal framework for the Chamber of Commerce. with only one caveat, that you do not ask me for money. Yeah? So I think just the same way we have the Law Society of Kenya recognized in statute, but we don't give them any money. They, especially for you people, you are business people, you have a lot of money. So, but I think to create a farmer foundation for the chamber, Waziri, look at what best practice elsewhere looks like in different countries, and then let us borrow best practice and let us negotiate with the chamber on what legal framework, shape and form it will take. That's a fairly straightforward issue. And finally, on the issue of internship that you have said, as we roll out our interventions on matters employment in our country, whether we are looking at the job market that we are rolling out because of the public infrastructure that we are engaged in, whether it is in our special economic zones, whether it's in our county aggregation industrial parks, the housing program, the markets program, the hostels program, or the digital jobs program that we have with ICT hubs across the country, or the labor mobility program that we have that gives Kenyans an opportunity to find opportunities for work outside Kenya. All this must be organized in such a manner that we create a big push for young people in Kenya to get opportunities to work and contribute their talent, energy, knowledge, and expertise in driving the growth of our economy, whether in all the sectors that we are focused on. And we will be looking at what the chamber can do for us to, as we push from the public sector, what private sector can do to support that effort. In any case, it is the private sector that has the greater potential of opportunities for job creation. We can support this from the public sector. The housing program we've rolled out, we have now hundreds of companies, who have those contracts, and they have workers and they have employees, and hopefully we should be able to create more enterprises from the construction sector, as we do in all the other sectors. So I know I haven't answered everything, but I have tried to answer most of the things that you asked me. However, I look forward to another engagement with you in 4 months. My office and the ministry will work together so that we can have items of agenda for that meeting, and hopefully by the time we come to that meeting later this year, we will have ticked the boxes on some of the things we will have done in between. Maybe I can take a question or two if there is anybody who has any question to ask. Yes, at the back there. Your name and just the question. Don't no stories.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I'm Yamuria Michael from Turkana County, representing 21 nationalities in Turkana West. My question is directed by saying there are too much licensing in terms of hotelier industries. I want your office to reduce these licenses because most of the hoteliers have closed hotels because of double licenses. Your Excellency, I want your office to direct the department to look at those licenses. The counties affecting the industries.
Okay.
Secondly, Your Excellency.
No, just one question per person, because so that we can take more.
Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you. There is an issue about hoteliers. We will capture it, Waziri, and then see. I think it goes down to what was being requested, that we have a single business permit to cut across, so that are a must discuss between my economic team and yourselves and my Ministry of Mining. I want that meeting to be facilitated. Okay. Yes, I will take another 2 questions from a lady, maybe, and a man. I see only men here. Okay, give it to this good man here.
Good afternoon. My name is George Onkoba. I'm the Vice Chairman, Kenya National Chamber of Commerce from Kisii. My question is, we have done the housing where we'll end up retiring, but we've not done business centers whereby we can get all the SMEs from the road and do maybe a business center where they can purchase those kiosks and they have a permanent place where they can do business. Thank you.
You're right. It was my intention that as we do the county aggregation and industrial park, that we would have, I think what we have developed as the county and aggregation and industrial park is a small section, because we had said that every county aggregation and industrial park should have 10 acres. So I agree with you that we need also to incorporate a place where we can have common use of facilities for business people to work from there. I know that in our housing plan, we have taken care of some commercial facilities. For every housing unit, we have a commercial element of it. But you have a point, and that becomes something for us to discuss between housing and between KIPES. We need something in between there. Thank you very much, George. There is a lady there.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. My name is Pauline Wangeshi, the chairperson for Kirinyaga, Kenya National Chamber of Commerce. Mine is to appreciate the way that you've said for us, the private sector, to step up. We are ready, and we assure you that we will step up. Chamber has been organizing Kaete, the China Africa Expo, since last year was here in Kenya. And next month, the Chamber will be going to China. So we request your good government to actually join hand and support Chamber in actually being on the forefront, negotiating for the business opportunity for our people. I've been pressed. Kindly allow me, as a young chair, to add to the Chamber has more future and more potential. So we request your good government to accommodate every county to have an office to be able to represent all the business community. Thank you.
To have an office at the county or where?
To have land at the counties, at the county chapters. Tuko nazo. Your administration, I know, is in a position to do that.
Okay, please take some notes, Waziri, maybe your people there, we'll see what we can do. But on your request to support the business relationship between us and other countries, please, Abubakar and your team and Waziri, please make sure we facilitate whatever it is that they need. I had said just a few, maybe, I don't know now. Yeah, there is an old man there, huyo mzee aongee dakika moja, and then we can take one more here, and then one more lady. Yes.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I'm coming from Wajir, Northern Kenya. I'm requesting, the border Somalia and Northern Kenya is closed. We want you to open for us that border. We want to run a business between Somalia and Kenya.
That's correct.
Thank you, sir.
That's correct.
Yeah.
We already had a conversation with the government of Somalia, and we had made all the arrangements to open that border because it doesn't make business sense to have the border closed. So I will pick it up again, and maybe by the next meeting, I will have found an answer for you. There's a lady behind the gentleman. Yeah, that lady inspects in, yes.
Excellency, my name is Dr. Philomena Tanui, and I am a business lady and director from Elgeyo Marakwet.
Yes.
Now I'm in the manufacturing sector, and the manufacturing equipment is sometimes very expensive, and when a machine breaks down, it's very hard to get one, or you bring your machine, like I'm in the toilet paper industry, I bring my machine for calibration for 3 weeks, or I wait to import from maybe China or India. So I wanted to request that manufacturing be made more accessible and affordable for the a business person so that they can be supported with making the equipment available here in Kenya at a cheaper, cheaper rates. Yeah.
So maybe we should think of getting some of those manufacturers, if we have economies of scale, to have their manufacturing facilities, not just for the Kenyan market, but maybe for the regional market.
Sure.
Maybe that is something, again, the ministry can pick up. Let me take the last person here, this good gentleman. He has been Mr. or the host, the gentleman from Nairobi, I hope.
Your Excellency, my name is Dr. James Maura, the chairman for Nairobi chapter.
Okay, James Maura.
Yes. Now, on behalf of the business people, starting with the pending bills, now that you have said you'll be paying the bills around December, can the central bank relax the rules for the business people? At least the auctioneers get out of their way. At least you put them on watch.
I said before December. It could happen anywhere, August, September.
Very good. So if we manage to do that, at least central bank can relax the rules on the banks. At least you put everybody on watch. At least the auctioneers get out of the way. That's the first one. And on the KRA, when they are collecting their taxes, because already this money has been earmarked by KRA, the moment, because you have to declare everything these days is online. Then KRA then needs to come up with a methodology of collecting the same money. So they don't demand the whole amount immediately. At least you give guys provision of about 12 months. So by then, the government will have paid, business will be going on, and what happens? The government gets the confidence it needs with the public. Because our customer index is what is going down, and that's what is eating us. It's making us get enough tax cheat.
Yes.
At least now we'll start collecting more revenues if we adopt that method. Thank you.
Okay, we have some good people from KRA. Do we have them here? They can have a response to that good man. Will you give room for those people, some space? Is there anybody from Kenya Revenue Authority? We had asked somebody from Kenya. Hey, somebody from Treasury. Mwenda, can you respond to that good man?
Your Excellency, first, the taxpayers are allowed to engage with the Commissioner General or the KRA to agree if there are challenges. But given the commitment, Your Excellency, you've given, we think the best solution is for us to pay so that we clear. But between now and then, they can engage with the Commissioner General and agree on a plan to pay.
Now that you have the floor, Mwenda, and you are the man from Treasury, when are we paying these pending bills to these people?
Your Excellency, not to turn it back to you, but we will be seeking the authority of Cabinet as soon as, I think the verification committee has concluded its work. They have verified and validated the amount you have communicated. And I think in the course of, I think this month, Cabinet paper should be coming to Cabinet for approval. Yeah.
And then subsequently we pay a new financial year. I thought we were looking for an instrument somewhere to.
There are two options, Your Excellency. One, we are looking for a non-debt increasing instrument.
Yes.
So those are the options. And then there is also the debt option. Our preference is, as much as possible, we go with the non-debt increasing instrument.
That's my preference as well.
Yeah, but it will come to Cabinet for that approval, and then we will process.
Okay.
Thank you.
So there is something cooking there. So, good people, I see the number of people who want to say something. Let me not. I think I made a mistake. But I value that all of us are interested in making business work for the business people and for our country. I will ask that if there is something that is so pressing, that you really want my attention, just write it down. Aden here from my office, make sure he has it. It's very easy to recognize him. He has a bald head. So, and he was formerly minister responsible for this industry, for this sector. So he has quite a bit of knowledge. So please, if you can write it down, because I can see there are almost another almost 50 people here. And we won't be able to take all of them. And I don't want to discriminate against anybody. So just write it down if it is something that cannot wait for the next meeting. And I will pick it up with Aden, and then we will see what we can do. Otherwise, let me say I'm truly happy that we have had this engagement with the Chamber of Commerce, with our business people. I look forward also to having another meeting with KEPSA and all the other entities that are involved in the business space in our country, so that together we can, inform and influence and contribute to the betterment of trade and business and enterprise and industry in Kenya. So, asanteni sana. My very best wishes as you go back to the counties. Please take our greetings to your counties and to your membership. Asanteni sana.
A round of applause for His Excellency as we all stand up to wind up this meeting with the national anthem. So we all be upstanding for the national anthem. The national anthem.